And welcome to the AutoNation Pre-Game Show. We are here getting set for one of the biggest games of the season. Phil Shane to be joined by Thomas Rongen. And Thomas, when we take a look at what's been going on for Inter Miami, it was a really good ride, but right now, 2 back-to-back road losses. That makes life difficult. They need to get a result tonight.
Absolutely, Phil. It's the hunt for the playoffs, not just for Inter Miami, but many other teams. But, as Phil Neville has said, they can still create their own destiny, so to speak. They've got their, the destiny is in their control, so to speak. So they need to get results. And yes, it's been tough on the road for this Inter Miami team. But what better way to do it against a team that is beatable, in my opinion, the Chicago Fire on the road in obviously the Windy City. With some changes in the starting 11 that we'll discuss a little bit later, I feel good about tonight.
And a lot of scoreboard watching we'll be doing. Talk about the Columbus Crew falling earlier today. Cincinnati, a bit of a stumble. And now we're looking at New York Red Bulls and New England. We'll keep an eye on that one throughout the night as well. So taking a look at what is going on right now with this Inter Miami squad, we have to look back at what was going on against the Columbus Crew. And when we take a look at this almost home and home, because up at Columbus Crew's new stadium, Inter Miami was on a roll. They needed to keep that momentum going. They were unable to do so. And now what do we take a look at the end result?
Yes, I mean, and it's very simple, Phil. Let's be real honest. It's the Pozuelo factor, so to speak. If you go back prior to the game in Columbus, obviously we're up 1-0. Pozuelo gets that, in my opinion, soft red card, and all of a sudden the creativity, the hub in midfield that Pozuelo is, by the way, is not there anymore. And it continues against Columbus. The inability in the final third for us to create anything, to get Higuain going, because Pozuelo is the one that get obviously Pepita going into that final third as well. So 2 back-to-back losses with Pozuelo back in the 11. I feel pretty good about our chances, again, not just against Chicago, because Columbus comes up in some other big games as well, both home and away. 6 games left in order for us to get that 6th or 7th position. And with everybody being tight, Phil, you're going to get some results going your way and against you as well. But the most important thing for Phil Neville is to get our wins ourselves, and we'll be in good shape.
Well, again, let's take a look back at how we got here, because that last game against Columbus, there were some bright spots. It didn't quite work out the way we wanted, but as we get ready for Chicago, let's see where we're coming from. Now, you talked about Phil Neville, and maybe needing a little help from above doesn't hurt, especially the way Gonzalo Higuain has been playing. You talked about the Pozuelo factor. How did Inter Miami try to adjust, and where did they fall short?
I mean, they really fell short in poor turnovers early on. Higuain dropping into midfield, trying to create something. Marshman, by the way, starting for the first time since a long time, and really put Inter Miami under some real duress, quite frankly. Some pretty good defending, though, at the end of the day, kept it at zeros for a long time. Through that first half and early second half as well, although Columbus at home, which you expect them to be obviously a pretty good team with the Fernandeses, the Diazes of the world. But I thought that Yetland, Sailor, the rookie again, Anandi Lowe had a pretty darn good game defensively, but it only takes 1 or 2 seconds for you to get caught, and that's what happens right here. The transition, the one pass, and all of a sudden that midfield triangle is lost somewhat, and then the 1v1 against McVeigh, where he doesn't do well enough to track, gives Columbus the 1-0 victory.
And again, you see Diaz, his ability to drive the line. Cucho Hernandez in the middle as a target doesn't hurt. This is a team that seems to be built and is getting stronger as the season progresses. The one saving factor for Inter Miami is this is not a team they have to beat. It's one of the teams in contention, but Inter Miami needs to do better tonight. So what adjustments do they make?
I mean, the adjustments are very simple, obviously. You bring your key number 10 back, Pozuelo. You tighten up defensively a little bit, and you need to, as I said again, on the road, you need to defend well, you need to keep the 0 at long stretches, and then take your chances, because Inter Miami does get chances, Phil, in most of their games. It's just that the ratio of chance creation versus, there's that glancing header of Vasilev making that run as well, comes close, but just not going to. Marshman in his first start, a 1-0 loss, not happy. And there's obviously the crew head coach, Mr. Porter, that is a happy man.
Take a look at the statistics, and it's not pretty viewing. Possession was nice. They got the corners. There was some physicality on both sides, but when it actually comes to being effective, 14 shots to 4. I guess the one advantage, if you would, is the fact that the defense was able to keep Columbus from getting into good shooting position, but they need to do more offensively.
Yes, and that final third, that's what Phil Neville has talked about this whole year. At home, we've seen it come together, obviously, particularly late because of the climatic conditions and home field advantage with our great fans. But on the road, you got to have some killer instinct, and we have not shown that throughout, on both ends, by the way, but in particular in that final third, in chance creation, which is very low, and then if you get those chances, because you only get 2 or 3 sometimes on the road, you have to bury them. That's important. You look at Pozuelo, you look at Higuain in particular, has been so good with the service of Pozuelo that we will get some opportunities. It's just a matter of putting them in the back of the net, Phil.
Now, again, you take a look at what's been going on. They had that extra game played. Other teams had games in hand. That's now not the fact because, and we'll talk about it in the next segment a little bit more, that these teams have now caught up, sometimes even surpassed in games where Inter Miami might have an advantage in that regard. But that's time off. But it's time off after 2 losses. There's a danger of getting rusty, but this was also a time off to look in the mirror for some introspection.
No doubt. And you do that each and every game as a professional athlete, as a group, as a coaching staff, starting with Henderson on top, obviously, the technical director. A team, Phil, if you look again at this team that started the last game, only 2 starters from last year. So it's a team that changes and a team that's gotten better. I love our triangle in midfield of Gregory, Motta, and now Pozuelo as well. We need to get more out wide from our higher players, be it Vasilev, be it Taylor, be it Lassiter, be it Campana eventually, if he gets healthy as well. And then the back just needs to be sturdy throughout. When you get into these kind of phases of the season, it's grind out time. And the good teams, they know how to grind out results. Sometimes not pretty, but they know how to win.
And you've talked about the defense. We've talked a little bit about the midfield. I want to talk about the 2 ends of the spear, the point and the butt. The butt at the moment is goalkeeper. It looked as though Nick Marsma was going to be a very solid goalkeeper, but he got into a little bit of a problem with distribution, bringing another keeper, and Blake Callender looks to be really good. But now, we're at a point of the season where they can't afford to make mistakes, and Phil Neville has changed horses again.
Yes, and I get it. I've been there as a coach as well. And when things get tight, when you fight for the playoffs, you seem to say to the young player, take a little bit of a rest, and you look for the experienced player, which Marshman is obviously. They're very even in a lot of areas. If you look at their skill set, obviously, Marshman may be a little bit better with his feet at times. Drake maybe commands his box a little bit more. Tough decision for Phil. I know it was a tough decision for him, but he's going with the more experienced Marshman right now that played in the Europa League for Feyenoord, and hope that he can not only get a solid performance, but more so guide that back 4 that again changes. And we'll talk about it a little bit more. Changes again. You can't find any consistency in your back 4 due to injuries, other reasons as well. It makes it tough for an experienced, good verbal, good communicator, which Marshman is. That's the ticket that Phil Neville is riding right now.
Watching the AutoNation pregame show here as we get set for all of the action as Chicago is going to host Inter Miami. Talk about the front 3 at the moment. Gonzalo Higuain was red hot. Now seems to be a little chilly. Ariel Lassiter was stepping up. A few questions now. We're still waiting for the return of Campana. This is the real crucial moment. Someone needs to step up if Inter Miami is going to succeed.
Yeah, and you know what you're going to get from Higuain. You know what you're going to get from Pozuelo, but you need secondary or third or fourth. All the good teams that are in the East or the West that are doing extremely well, Phil, they got 3 guys that are lethal, both from scoring perspective and high numbers in assists as well. We only have 2, which are Campana, who's clearly right now still injured, and Higuain. And outside of that, we get 2, 3 goals, 3 assists maybe. Yetlin is up there as a right fullback. We need to get more from our wide players, no doubt.
Well, Inter Miami, a relatively new team, still battling for the postseason. Tonight's opponent is a storied team. Maybe not one of the originals, but they're close enough, and it was a traditional power. But they have fallen off the boil, and they have something to prove as well tonight. It is Chicago and Inter Miami working our way towards kickoff. Stay with us.
Button pushers, double tappers, swipers, and now used car buyers. Go to AutoNation.com today. You'll see thousands of one-price pre-owned vehicles online right now. All your favorite makes and models, all quality inspected, all priced to sell with no hassles. Plus, we'll even pay top dollar for your car. Go to the AutoNation store near you or AutoNation.com. What drives you drives us. AutoNation.
¿Qué te pareció el partido?
Bueno, por suerte metimos al captain a tiempo y se llevó muy bien con la piña. Es un dúo que nos gustó mucho y va a ser historia en esta casa. Si quieres vivir un partido épico, mete al captain.
Gracias.
I need to try it first.
Stir things up with Espolón Tequila, the official tequila sponsor of Inter Miami CF. Made with hand-harvested 100% Blue Weber agave from Los Altos de Jalisco, Mexico. Grab an Espolón cocktail at a stadium bar today.
Has served this community for more than 40 years. We guarantee 100% termite eradication or your money back. Call up.
The AutoNation pregame show, Inter Miami on the road for the third straight game. And they're taking on a Chicago Fire squad that is playing out the string at the moment. One storied franchise along with DC United, two of the original powers, now finding themselves in the role of also-ran and spoiler. Good look at the lads as they make their way off the bus and head into Seat Geek Stadium, where, well, maybe some other places are leaning towards fall and a reminder of winter, but the temperature about 81 degrees. Most other clubs in MLS, Thomas, would be breaking out the fans and the AC, but Inter Miami, hey, I mean, this is really comfortable weather, sweater weather almost.
Yeah, it certainly is. I played in Chicago, actually, back in the old NASL days, indoors, by the way, thank God. And it can get brutally cold there, but that's a nice day for Inter Miami, I think, an 81 in order for them to get through a 90 minutes, lower humidity probably, so no home field advantage for Chicago, no home or away field, kind of advantage for Inter Miami as well.
Let's talk a little bit about their last game. Talked about games in hand for the teams that were behind Inter. It was a chance for the Columbus Crew to put a little bit more distance between themselves and Inter Miami. Again, they played Chicago, and taking a look at some of the results from this one, it ended up scoreless. Chicago, though, trying to get something going up front. And this is a team that's gotten stronger as the season progresses. Shavilko, leading the line. You also have Chris Mueller, who's now back. But they just can't find a way to normally keep the opposition at bay.
Yeah, they're very good defensively. They've given up 38 goals, which is one of the better defensive, but they've scored only 28. We talked about our, poor outing, so to speak, in that final third or the points we put on the board. Chicago struggles even more with only 28, which is the worst in MLS. Last 5 games, not one goal, Phil. So this team obviously is on the outside looking in. They got to run the table and hope to get some results, whereas Inter Miami still has their own. They got a great goalkeeper that obviously signed for a big-time contract, one of the younger, more promising goalkeepers worldwide, by the way, that can keep them in game as well. But if you can create and score, as I said again, the last 2 is 2 zeros, I think. They've not scored in the last 5. They get the same problems in the final third. Shaqiri today, supposedly in the starting 11, Phil, we'll talk about it a little bit later. Shaqiri could be the X factor.
Now, when we take a look at this Columbus Crew, it's probably a good way for Phil Neville to match things up because he's looking at tape of the same team that Inter Miami played. Let's take a listen to the Inter Miami coach as he gears up to face the Fire.
Come to Sunday, Monday, when all the games had finished, you realise that you had to take the positives from it. We had a weekend without any games. A weekend where we were watching all our rivals playing. So we're well aware of what's needed. We're in a great position to attack. The next game against Chicago, a team that don't get beat easily, they draw a lot of games. And this is where you want to be as a football manager. It's where you want to be as a player. You want to be at the end of the season fighting for success, and we've given ourselves a fighting opportunity.
Well, Phil Neville obviously focused in on this match. As something you talked about in the first segment, Thomas. Every match, managerial speak, every match is a final.
Yes, it is. It's 6 cup finals. And that's what internally this team has talked about, but also one game at a time. So let's not look past this one because they come fast and furious. We're back here on Tuesday night at home against Columbus, by the way. That's only 4 points ahead of us, I think, in the table right now. So all these games are huge, absolutely huge. And yeah, that's the mentality you need to take. Refuse to lose, push the threshold of pain just a little bit further. This is a time when players need to work through their slight injuries. If it's not serious, obviously, and it takes a certain mentality. And I look at DeAndre Yetlin, I look at obviously McVeigh and Marsman, I look at Mata's experience and Gregory all the way through to Higuain and Marsman, as you said again, at both ends. There is enough experience, and Kieran Gibbs, another one, obviously, that's played in big games. There's enough experience sprinkled through this starting 11 that should be able to, as I said again, conduct themselves in such a way on the road, regardless who they play, to be in every game and get a result. And that's what Phil Neville wants tonight, is be in this game throughout 90 minutes, get a result, which is hopefully 3 points, and I feel good about it against a team that struggles even more than us to create and score goals.
Well, in just a bit, we're going to be listening to Gonzalo Higuain. We're going to take a closer look at the postseason race. But when we look at the head-to-head showdown between these two teams, it is two teams that have struggled at times. But from an Inter Miami perspective, I guess the positive, Thomas, is the fact that this is a team that not that long ago seemed to be clicking on all cylinders.
Yes.
So we take a look at the head-to-head comparisons right now. There are 4 points separating them, but with so many limited games left remaining, Chicago pretty much out of the running. They also have played one more game. Where's the real difference between this? You take a look, Miami's given up a few more, but they've scored a few more.
And no doubt. And I think if you look down that list, and it might come down to that, Phil, is that first tiebreaker. That is games won. And you look at all of our, pretty much the teams that played against, we're at 10 wins right now. Some of them are at 8 with a point behind us, potentially going to 9. So that's huge, obviously. Could we have turned some of those losses into draws? 6 draws is not very much for this team. In particular, getting draws on the road is important, and getting you 3 points at home obviously will get you into the playoffs. That did not happen for this team now. Important again, if I look at those numbers, you look at goals against, and you look at goals for, obviously, the 28 stands out in minus for Chicago. The 35, pretty good for us, but then again, we've conceded 46, and we've only won 2 games on the road as well, Phil. So there's this mental kind of thing that Phil Neville needs to get his team over, that we can perform on the road, guys. And let's, as you said again, let's forget about what happened in the past. Let's look forward to those 3 away games, starting in Chicago and 3 at home, obviously, and get some results on the road, as we've done so well at home. We had a 5-game unbeaten streak before we ended up losing Pozuelo in the 3-1 loss against the Red Bulls, and then unfortunately 1-0 against Columbus. So let's start a new streak.
The last 6 matches, take a look at Inter Miami. 3 wins, 1 draw, just 1 win, 2 draws for Chicago. Inter Miami, maybe with a little momentum that has been derailed a little bit because Inter Miami has had problems on the road. if you're going to make the postseason, and especially if you're going to do something in the postseason, they have to find a way to get some points on the road.
Yeah, and it all comes down, what I say against Pozuelo. Pozuelo is a guy that can get you a result on the road. Sounds maybe crazy. If the other 10 players will just join in terms of performing up to their individual capabilities, and then as a group, allow your big number 8, which is your 10, quite frankly, but his jersey number is 8, do his things. And I think that he can be the X factor for us in terms of providing, but also scoring goals.
And one of the keys you pointed out, and I don't know if enough people are focusing in on it, the tiebreaker in MLS, not goals differential, not goals for, it is victories. Charlotte, the only team that has more wins than Inter Miami, but they've played 2 more games and only 4 left to go. We continue to work our way through here on the AutoNation pregame show. Kickoff not that far away. Top of the hour, we'll see Chicago welcome Inter Miami. Playoff battle continues for the Herons.
To have a truly great career, you need to be with a great company. Now's your chance to go be great at AutoNation. Go to jobs.autonation.com for endless career opportunities. Work at America's largest and most admired automotive retailer that's driving towards $35 million donated to fight cancer. For industry-leading benefits and a great work experience, visit jobs.autonation.com now and go be great.
Over the last 75 years, City National Bank has always been there for our neighbors. Like this year, when we saved over 300,000 jobs like Michelle's. And because she's at work, her food distributor is on the job too. And so is the woman that does his website. And the accountant that keeps her books as well. Because when you thrive, we all thrive. City National Bank, 75 years of tradition, a future of promise.
¿Qué te pareció el partido?
Bueno, por suerte metimos al captain a tiempo y se llevó muy bien con la piña. Es un dúo que nos gustó mucho y va a ser historia en esta casa. Si quieres vivir un partido épico, mete al captain.
Gracias.
New fan loyalty platform. Coming soon. Become a VIP. Win big prizes. Grand prizes. Tickets. Team gear. Travel. Experiences. Gadgets. A new way to compete. Win. Earn. Connect. Official loyalty and gamification partner. Inter Miami. X Mana. xmana.com.
Everyone is celebrating this goal. Wendy's Goal Deal! Now enjoy a delicious double stack plus small fries, small Coca-Cola, 4-piece nugs, and a Junior Frosty for only $6. Celebrate Wendy's epic goal!
We changed our fries to make them hot and crispy every single time.
High five.
And every single time, Toby insists we high five.
High five. High five. High five. It'll catch on, right?
Try Wendy's hot and crispy fries, preferred almost 2-to-1 over McDonald's.
Good look at Pipita Higuain and gearing up, warming up for what could be a very crucial match.
Also, a good look, Phil, real quick at the poor conditions of the field.
Looks like they ran the aerator over it and forgot to turn it off.
Absolutely. Did the Bears play home games already? This is Soldier Field, isn't it?
AutoNation pregame continues. Phil Shane, Thomas Rongan, and you talking a little bit about Gonzalo Higuain. Well, you know what? Let's hear from the man himself. This Gonzalo Higuain situation started the season looking like he was going to be in a battle for playing time. Actually, Phil Neville, I think one of the keys to the turnaround and also to the resurgence of Higuain himself, put him on the bench. Campana comes in, plays red hot, and all of a sudden, Higuain, I think it was the self-awareness and self-determination that he needed to fight back, and he did. And it's a flashback to Higuain of old.
It certainly is, Phil. And when he made his comeback, he looked, as you said, he looked fitter. He looked committed mentally. He didn't tune out as well, which a lot of people thought he would maybe based on, his body language towards his teammates, but he's been a very positive influence, both on and off the field, Phil Neville had said. And we go to practice at times and we look from things afar, and he looks very comfortable in his own skin right now. He's playing some of his best football, which is important for Inter Miami due to the fact that Campana obviously was injured, but Higuain all of a sudden surges to 9 goals. You got to say right now he's going to be 10 plus. He's got more assists, I think, than anybody else as well on this team with Pozuelo. So he's clearly continues to carry this team and will be needed to continue to carry the team, not only in Chicago, but in the last 6 games.
And as you said, also playing provider. That's really going to come in handy tonight with Vasilev and Taylor on the flanks. Pozuelo is behind, but it's nice to have a target man who can dish. That's one of the things that Higuain has always been good at. Let's take a listen to Pepita Higuain.
Volviendo al equipo en el 2021 nos llegó al playoff.
Cuando se terminó el año pasado, que fue muy particular, en las vacaciones sí que me preparé para decir, este año tiene que ser muy bueno de verdad, ¿no? Me preparé bien, arrancamos muy mal, perdiendo 4 partidos de 5, me toca lesionarme, después me toca estar 2 meses en el banco, o sea, fue todo distinto a como lo había planeado, ¿no? Y después me tocó estar en este momento, en el más importante de la temporada, jugando bien, haciendo goles, bien mentalmente, bien físicamente. Entonces, bueno, no salió como lo planeé en pretemporada, pero hubiese firmado estar jugando los partidos más importantes del año, metidos en playoff, haciendo goles, porque la gente se acuerda de lo último. Y me toca estar en este momento, en mi mejor momento, para el tramo más importante de la temporada.
Ahora estás en muy buen momento, estás ayudando al equipo a estar en la pelea por el playoff. ¿Cómo ves al grupo? ¿Cómo te sientes tú?
Lo que noto más que otros años es que nos respetan. Que ya venir a jugar contra nosotros no es como antes. Venir a jugar acá de local no es como antes. Nos respetan. Y eso se lo ganó el grupo, con los resultados, con los partidos. Y eso es lo que más siento, que el grupo está fuerte y que tenemos la posibilidad de competir contra cualquiera. Y creo que en el momento más importante de la temporada el equipo llega en un muy buen momento. Entonces eso es lo que me da confianza y ganas de luchar hasta el final, porque sé que el equipo está bien y bueno, estamos a falta de nada, pero metidos en playoff, que es lo más importante, ¿no? Entonces tenemos que estar conscientes de lo que nos jugamos y saber que estamos a nada de conseguir el objetivo, que es entrar en playoff.
Well, good listen to one of the greats all time for Argentina. Finished runners-up in both Copa America and a World Cup along the way. And this is a man that is leading the line now for Inter Miami down through this stretch run. And they need some performances out of him. Phil Shane alongside Thomas Rongan on the AutoNation pregame show, working our way towards kickoff, Chicago and Inter Miami. And let's talk a little bit about the postseason race first, because, Thomas, we're looking at a lot of teams that are congested at that playoff cut. You can pretty much go all the way up to Orlando in 5th, all the way down, even including mathematically the Chicago Fire in 13th. Everything would need to go the Fire's way, and that includes a win tonight. So in some ways, their back's against the wall. And there you have Inter Miami in the middle. And again, one of the keys we talked about a little bit earlier in the show, Thomas, is now all of a sudden they have the extra game. They have that extra advantage, but you got to win the games in front of you too. So Thomas, taking a look at the postseason, we have the game tonight against Chicago, the Tuesday game against Columbus. How will this playoff hunt be decided?
I think this playoff hunt will be decided in tight, contested games throughout. If you look at the results of most of the games being played, they are tight. They're one late, which we've done on the road. Which we've done at home, sorry. Can we do it at home? And this is my new toy, by the way. All right, it's a nice little toy. Starting 11 of Inter Miami today against the Chicago Fire. Nick Marsman back in goal, getting the confidence of Phil Neville, the experienced Dutchman, obviously. McVeigh and Saylor centrally. No Damian Lowe due to a slight injury as well. Yetland, the strength on the right side, up and down, up and down. One of the best attacking right fullbacks, obviously, in the business. Kieran Gibbs, experienced left-footed player, which I think is very, very important. Can he go 90 minutes? That midfield triangle, huge, obviously. Motta sitting there. That inverted triangle, Gregory pushing forward, Pasuelo really being the key guy, the go-to guy, so to speak, to create, obviously, the things for Higuain in particular, Taylor and Vasilev, you know, up front. So a traditional 4-1-2-3, you can say. Gregory will at times sit in here next to Motta. Pasuelo will obviously end up a little bit underneath Higuain. You like to see Yetland go forward, obviously, in these positions, so he can play and combine with Vasilev. Same thing, Gibbs is a good passer out of deep positions. Can he find Taylor, Pasuelo, and Higuain? Motta will sit in here. And I'm telling you, there's a matchup right now, you know, in this game that I think is going to be huge for this team as well. So if we can put Chicago, please, the 11 on, then we can see particular matchups, all right, that we're going to be looking at as well. So that is Chicago right there. You look at right now, 4-2-3-1 as well. 4 in the back. Higuain against Teran and Chisros right there. You look at Taylor versus Sekulic on that left side. But this to me, all right, if we can just get, let me see here. I'll go here, settings. Okay, there we go. All right, it's the first time we're doing this, so things happen. But to me, this is a huge matchup, obviously. Jean Motta against Shaqiri. Shaqiri, as we all know, the international, brilliant left foot, small in spatial as well. And then we're talking about also the ability for Higuain to exploit, hopefully, the spaces between fullbacks and center backs right here. And then, obviously, we're looking at Pasuelo. Can he provide with those great passing opportunities? Can he find Higuain in these areas here, just behind that back four when Higuain makes those diagonal runs? This is huge. The dribble and running penetration of Mr. Yetland on the right side, creating 2v1 situations, hopefully with Vasilev against their left fullback, which is Navarro. Where the game could be won or lost, which it will be in a lot of cases, right here. To me, this is the key to success on both sides of the ball. Give us balance defensively, track players from deep, and give us, Mr. Gregory, give us something going forward in these positions here as well. And obviously, Motta needs to sit in and be very productive in killing everything that comes this way. So that's really the way Inter Miami could have some success today.
Thomas, can I ask you a question so give you a chance to work on your new toy a little bit?
Yeah.
The one key in my mind, and you're absolutely right, if they can keep Shaqiri away from the danger zone, this is a guy that could knock a tree down from midfield. But you look at the performances, I don't call it the flanks, inside left, inside right, against the Miami flanks. Mueller coming back against Kieran Gibbs, who is a little bit rusty, I would imagine. You also have Taylor that wants to push forward, but in recent games has had more defensive responsibility. How do you think the flanks will be won?
And that's a great question, Phil. What we've done so well, I think, and one of the reasons why Phil Neville believes in these players, that he's getting a lot of defensive responsibilities of these wide players right here. Taylor has been able to come back and hopefully double in these situations on Mueller. That's so important. On the other side, we got Vasilev, who's got a great engine as well. So the ability for Vasilev to come back and help Yedlin double team on Gutierrez is huge. But maybe the most important thing is Taylor McVay and Saylor need to give those fullbacks some help as well. So on the weak side, McVay can come in here. Let's say the ball's being built up on this side over here, and then Saylor needs to create a 2v1 situation. That's very important. As long as Mata and the other midfielders stay with their runners, you can still double with the weak side or the strong side defender in order for you to keep those wide players at base. That's a great question, to keep Mueller and Gutierrez, obviously. And Gutierrez and Shaqiri will interchange at times as well, Phil. We know Shaqiri loves to come out from wide and then comes inside as well, similar to what Messi used to do at Barcelona, starting at right side and come in as well. So these are some matchups that obviously we're going to be look forward to and see which teams will be able to exploit it, because both teams play from within the same system, really a 4-2-3-1. So you're going to cancel out a lot of, it's almost like 1v1s all over the field.
Well, with that in mind, the way you've just drawn that up, there is another 1v1 to keep an eye on. Talked about the 18-year-old in goal, but maybe a bit of a surprise from Ezra Hendrickson, sticking an 18-year-old in John Duran, the Envigado man, up front. And because of the departure, the inavailability of Damian Lowe, we now have Christopher McVay sliding to the inside. It is a position that he can play. You could argue it's even more of a natural position, but he's going to have to try and shut down the big Colombian.
Yeah, and these systems, it's very simple defensively. Whereas Tehran and they're looking at a 2v1 here, we're looking at a 2v1 as well. And normally somebody's got to get tight, and then somebody's got to drop a little bit to provide some cover as well. If you can be good in your organization, which is your re and rest organization, you shouldn't be able to let Duran go free at certain people. Now, if we get dragged out, Phil, and McVay's got to, come out and basically say, I got to close down some fires here because it's super. Then all of a sudden, Duran in 1v1s is a very capable player to get inside the 18-yard box. So that's obviously a concern that Inter Miami needs to look at that. But normally in this 2v1, I feel very, very good about McVay, who's a veteran player, and Saylor as a rookie that's very good in the air, very athletic as well, and has become better and better with the ball being played out of the back. And that might be the key also to success. Which back four can find their midfielders early and often without losing balls in bad spots, we call that.
Let me annoy Kaylin, even if she's not here, and I'll annoy you as well. I'm going to ask you a question about defense, and I guess you can put on a playing hat if you want to hop into your old number 6, or as a coaching mentality here. You're looking at an Inter Miami squad that is taking on a team that has had struggle scoring, but you're also making significant changes defensively. Sure, it's the back-to-back game for Marsman, but it's a player that has not played much in the tail end of the season. You're moving McVay to the inside. You're bringing Gibbs off the bench. So that's 3 changes out of the back 5. Is that going to be a concern at this point of the season?
That's probably one of the reasons, and the biggest reason why Phil Neville has said, I need to go with an experienced goalkeeper here. A guy that can guide and is a good communicator, which Marsman is. Because when you have a lot of changes in your back 4, which we have throughout this year, it's very important for Nick Marsman to be a good communicator, to make sure that he organizes his back 4 as well. And I kind of like us to be the aggressor, Phil. Can we play on the half of the opponent, as we say right here, and not be vulnerable on counterattacks? And as Columbus scored a goal with Diaz, that came up a poor turnover in midfield, and all of a sudden 2 passes later, boom, they're off to the races. So it's very important for us to kill plays high up the pitch already. Professional fouls that might be important, or to make sure that Mota, Gregory, and Pasuelo do a good job defensively by crowding the midfield, but making it hard for any team to want to play forward. And this is a Chicago team that's not very good going forward. I almost feel like this is an opportunity for us to play on behalf of the opponent and to get something going, because we got pretty good athleticism across the back.
And with that in mind, you have to throw in a wrinkle here or there. Take a look at what the 11 is right now. Part of it is rotation, knowing that there's another game coming up on Tuesday that is also going to be considered a must-win. Where does Phil Neville try and find the mismatch? How does he move the pieces of the puzzle around to take advantage of a Chicago defense that is the strong point of the team.
Yeah, I think where it really comes down to it, if you look at the success over those 5 games, that's really the start of Pozuelo coming to this team here when we went undefeated in 5. We lost the last 2 really without Pozuelo. I think it's in central positions. And again, I said these are critical areas that Higuain can attack. Right there in these pockets between fullback and center back. And Higuain is so good, Phil, at making these great diagonal runs. These great diagonal runs in these areas here. Now we need a good passer like Pozuelo to be able to put him in that position. So that's very important. If Pozuelo can be a good passer, and if Taylor and Vasilev can keep Navarro and Sekulic honest and wide, then all of a sudden we stretch that back 4 and the openings will come. These openings will come, and can we attack them with Higuain, but also can we attack them without the ball, with Gregory making runs from deep midfield? That's the reason why Mata is sitting in a little bit more, taking care of Shaqiri. I think this is a matchup, Pineda versus Gregory, that could be in our advantage to let Gregory open himself up with and without the ball to bridge areas, because he's so strong. He's such a powerful runner, absolutely brilliant, so he can give us something too. This this is ending up looking like a Picasso a little bit, Phil.
It's an immersive experience, Thomas, anytime we get the chance to work with you. You look at Gibbs, and if he can get a little bit of a flashback of his best, you look at Yedlin, we know what he's able to do, maybe one of the most underrated crossers in Major League Soccer, but then you also end up with a Vasilev and a Taylor who maybe have the strongest tanks on this particular team. You're looking at a Inter Miami squad that could control the flanks. They still need to try and do something when they get the ball to the inside. Kind of hard to score from the chalk.
No, and that's a great point. I think one of the inability for us to get good numbers in the box consistently, which means the weak-sided run needs to be made. Let's say Yedlin makes the overlapping run. So now you got Vasilev that comes inside a little bit. But you need Taylor to get in the box. You need Higuain to get out of the box. And one of the 3 midfielders need to get in the box as well. You talk near post, far post, around the 12, 18-yard box. Those are the runs you want to make, not only to serve balls and hit them first time, but also to keep that second phase attack alive as well. When it comes headed out, you can win in those positions. And that's where we have done not a great job, Phil, by not winning those second balls, by smell where it's going to drop, where it's going to fall, boom, keep it alive, and here you go, Pozuelo, off we go. A lot of times we lose possession, and all of a sudden we get a lot of numbers in front of the ball, and now we got to come back and we're scrambling.
Well, no real time to scramble, no real room to scramble at the moment. In fact, not much time left before we actually kick this one off. It is the AutoNation pregame show. When we come back, we'll go through the starting 11s. We'll also take a look at some of the final thoughts as Phil Neville, maybe a date with destiny in Chicago. And again, looking at that field, it looks like it could be a little choppy and bumpy. Find out if Ezra Hendrickson has any special treats up his sleeve. Stay with us.
We're all button pushers, double tappers, swipers, and now used car buyers. Go to AutoNation.com today. You'll see thousands of one-price pre-owned vehicles online right now. All your favorite makes and models, all quality inspected, all priced to sell with no hassles. Plus, we'll even pay top dollar for your car. Go to the AutoNation store near you or AutoNation.com. What drives you drives us. AutoNation.
¿Qué te pareció el partido?
Bueno, por suerte metimos al captain a tiempo y se llevó muy bien con la piña. Es un dúo que nos gustó mucho y va a ser historia en esta casa. Si quieres vivir un partido épico, mete al captain.
Gracias.
I need to try it first.
Stir things up with Espolón Tequila, the official tequila sponsor of Inter Miami CF. Made with hand-harvested 100% Blue Weber agave from Los Altos de Jalisco, Mexico. Grab an Espolón cocktail at a stadium bar today.
Affleck has served this community for more than 40 years. We guarantee 100% termite eradication or your money back.
Call Affleck.
I grew up down here in South Florida, so for me, it's a little bit more personal.
The Mesman & Dover Law Firm is about community for me.
For us, South Florida is our home.
You all are our people, our family, our future.
The difference we'll make for you, your loved ones, your kids, matters.
Because to us, it's personal.
If you need us, call us anytime at 866-954-MORE. The Mesman & Dover, your accidentattorneys.com.
You are looking live into Seat Geek Stadium in Chicago. Bridgeview, Illinois, actually 81 degrees. No chance of rain, just a light wind and a gorgeous night for soccer. Phil Shane alongside Thomas Rongan on the AutoNation pregame. Top of the hour, don't forget, My 33, Chris Whittingham and Ray Hudson with the call. And Thomas Rongan and myself will be on 790 The Ticket on the radio call. So you might want to grab one or both and enjoy the night. Hopefully it will be an enjoyable one, Thomas. This is a time of the season where things get nail-biting, when things get a little squeaky. And we're taking a look tonight at pretty much all of the opposition that Inter Miami is battling against to get to the postseason, also in action. So we take a look at the postseason playoffs, and this is a run that Inter Miami is going to need to focus in on. They're struggling a little bit in the playoff line, but they need to try and find a way to get a result tonight and hope for some other action to fall their way.
Yeah, the hunt for the playoffs. And that's what quite a few teams are saying it right now, Phil. You know, we're not the only ones. Orlando's saying that. Columbus is saying that. Cincinnati is saying that. New England, who's, by the way, down 2-1 against the Red Bulls, which favors us, obviously, in terms of results. I think it's going to come down to Columbus, Cincinnati, and Inter Miami, quite frankly, because if you look at New England, 30 games. You look at Cincinnati, 30 as well. We got 28 games, which means that we have 2 games in hand to the teams that were fighting above us. You could say Charlotte potentially still in it, but you know what? Also a team that has played 30 games already, and we've played 28.
Although one of those was the win today against NYC, which shows that they are actually headed in the right direction. Right now going on, Orlando City may be a little further away, not necessarily an opponent, but they are one of the teams that is ahead of Inter Miami and gettable. They're taking on Philadelphia.
And we're playing Orlando as well.
Who's looking for the Supporters' Shield. Cincinnati, who is right neck and neck, but with 1 game more played, taking on a San Jose Earthquake squad that has left a lot to be desired. So that should be 3 points at home for the Ohio side. Atlanta United and Toronto. They're probably both on the wrong side of the cut, but you figure absolutely the loser in this match is out of the running. And now New York's Red Bulls taking on New England and getting a little bit of help from the New Yorkers.
Yeah, it will come down to decision day, in my opinion. You know, maybe the game before that, which is the game against Orlando, and the last game obviously is against Montreal. But you get Chicago now away, you got DC United away, 2 teams that really are struggling. I think you can pick up 4, maybe 6 points on the road. Yeah, it sounds maybe crazy. We've only won 2 games, but there's clear possibilities for us against weaker teams throughout the year that we should beat in order to get into the playoffs as well. This Tuesday game, huge as well against Columbus, obviously at home, Phil. But this is the game you want to focus on. This is the game where you don't want to lose. Let's put it this way. A draw and a win on Tuesday will keep you in the hunt very much so in that 7th position.
Again, taking a look at New England, this is a team that many thought would be totally out of the running. You're looking at this run down towards the wire. Inter Miami learning some lessons here, but they'd like to actually get a little gift at the end, something that seemed impossible at the midway point. Credit to Phil Neville, credit to the Chris Henderson acquisition of Pozuelo. There's a new belief in this team. You've been in situations like that before. How much do 2 road losses in a row bring you back to, I guess, that reality? Or is this something you think that this team can come together and find a way to get a result tonight?
Yes, I think they can, Phil, and it's based on a lot of things, technically, tactically, physically, but more so the mentality. And I think the interview of Higuain pretty much sums it up. These players, and the key players, have bought into this message. Refuse to lose. We play till the end. We're a hard team to play against. We never give up, which they haven't, by the way. And those are certain qualities, I think, in tight games again, which most of these games will be in the late stages of the season, that will get you results, regardless how good or how bad you are. If you want it enough, which I think Inter Miami does, and if you refuse again to lose, then I think then this team, based on the veteran experience and based on how the veteran players are now expressing themselves, I think we have a very good chance to make it for the first time in 3 years into the playoffs.
Now, from a Chicago perspective, this is a team that has proven quality in the past in the Sheridan Shaqiri. Chris Mueller also coming back with something to prove, and a lot of promise from Gaga Slonina in goal. However, he has had some mix-ups along the way. Hasn't been absolutely perfect, but he tends not to make the same mistake twice. Inter Miami's going to have to throw some things at him that he hasn't expected, and you have the likes of an Higuain, of a Pozuelo, who was the MVP not that long ago, and even including the veterans on the flanks in a DeAndre Yedlin and Kieran Gibbs. In their past, in their experience, they have been here before.
Yep.
So maybe not for Inter Miami, but these are players that know how to win crucial games. Tonight's a crucial game.
Yeah, it's a huge game, obviously, and you mentioned some of the key components. I think another component that we haven't talked about enough is Mota, who's really come into his own. Scored 2 goals, obviously, in the last few weeks from distance. Strikes such a great ball from 30, 35 yards out, which is always a threat. And with Gregory, he's got such a great relationship. Who stays, who goes. They're both Brazilian. They're very comfortable in their own skin and in terms of communication. So I think that a Mota could be a guy that out of nowhere can get you a goal, actually, which he has done now from distance several times. What no better way to do it against Slonina, one of the better young goalkeepers in the world today.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Jean Mota, because he is a rather humble player that has more talent, I think, than many give him credit for. Wasn't that long ago that he was the Paulista Player of the Year. For those of you who might not be familiar with Brazilian soccer, they do have the state championships, which are just as hard fought as the national championship. And when he was playing for Santos, leading goal scorer, Player of the Year, did it back before that with Fortaleza as well. This is a player who is still in his prime that I guess has stepped back a little bit to let others shine and done some of the dirty work. You're familiar with that, but this is a guy that can also turn the light on.
Yeah, he certainly has done that in the last few weeks, again, by driving forward or finding these little pockets outside the 18-yard box where he reads where this second ball falls, basically, when defenders go up and try to clear balls. He has just such a good way of anticipating where balls come, collects it, and then he can strike balls left and right-footed. Obviously, his left foot is his predominantly strong foot, and him and Higuain both always around the ball. What a goal by Higuain, by the way, against New York. If Pozuelo doesn't get sent off, that might potentially be a third win on the road. We go up 1-0. We play well, and Higuain and Mota can both hit a ball from distance. So in set pieces and through the run of play, Jean Mota will continue to be a force.
Only a few seconds left. Final thoughts. Where will this game be won or lost?
This game will be won by both teams in inability or ability to create and score. So it comes down basically to your number 9 and your number 10 on both sides. Shaqiri and obviously Duran, and you look at Higuain and Pozuelo. To me, that's where the games are going to be won or lost.
Well, you know what? Nothing against the 18-year-old Colombian, but I'll take a guy that's been in a World Cup final before. Let's see if Gonzalo Higuain still has it. Chicago Fire welcoming Inter Miami. It is a crucial game for both. The Fire backed into the corner. Inter Miami trying to take advantage of some of the games they have yet to play, but you need the points to try and get the wins to cross that playoff line. And right now, they're on the wrong side of the cut, but the schedule is in their hands. They still, in many ways, control their own destiny, Thomas.
Yes, they do. And, I mean, both teams do to a certain extent, although Chicago's going to run the table, I think. And Inter Miami has still some room based on the fact that also the teams around them, looking at New England right now, hopefully losing, room for error, so to speak. So, tough match. Not a lot of goals, I think, today. But I feel that Inter Miami, with the right mentality, which they will have, will get 3 points.
And again, we'll find out. Thanks for joining us on the AutoNation pregame show. Phil Shane, Thomas Rania. You can now turn to your radio. If you're watching on your phone while you're driving, don't do that. Just turn on the radio. 790 The Ticket. We'll have the radio call in just a moment. And also, if you are at home, My 33 with Chris Whittingham and Ray Hudson with the call. Chicago, Inter Miami. It is do or die. Hope you enjoy it.
Let me know if you ready to get dollars, holla, cause we wildin' out. If you want it ready, steady, go. Fight the good fight because this is war. We won't go out without a fight. That's the way of a survivor, man. Lace up your boots cause the race is on. Ain't no one taking me out my zone. If you don't know what I'm coming for, if you ain't worthy, I'll take your throne. I put that on everything I love. Sweat and blood, but the best yet to come. Wanna stand up if you getting down. Put up your fists if you with it now. We them big hitters, so brace yourself. Just another notch up on the belt.